Okay, welcome to March's energy update reading. This is a part of what happens in my Patreon subscription group monthly. And I have decided I have some free subscribers. I have YouTube subscribers that quarterly, so every third month, I'll do one that's available to just everyone who subscribes. So this is the first one of this year, and it's for March. So just to give a little bit of background on what's happening here for people that are probably witnessing it for the first time, is that every month I tap into the collective energy through the Akashic records to figure out sort of what evolution we're in. It kind of mirrors what I look for when I'm doing chapter ahead readings, which is very much like our soul is here for an experience, there's growth. We're definitely in the thick of the changing of worlds, the death of an old world, the birth of a new world. So things are happening very fast. It's a new world. So we don't have anyone to look to anymore but ourselves. We don't have a rule book for this. We really have to be tapping into our own truth and honoring that in order to be able to move through the tumultuous death and rebirth cycle of this planet. We are along for the ride, and we are also doing the death and rebirth process at a rapid speed. And we know this, we've seen this starting very obviously since about 2019, 2020. With lockdowns and things like that. But that doesn't matter anymore. It's just we're still in this rapid fire change. So every month I do a tap in, see where we're at. But if you're watching this at a different time and it's not March of 2024 anymore, that it's probably still for you. This is where you're at. This is something you need to hear. Just as a blanket statement, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So as a part of the Patreon group, I just want to quickly highlight like what you receive. So a monthly energy update, like something like this. There's also often like a second portion that comes with like a healing or a guided meditation to help you really activate those energies. This month or this time, we're doing a card pull. I didn't feel like a guided meditation matched what we're doing this month. So after this, there'll be a card pull and you can sort of select your personal message. I'll do like 3 piles and you can choose. So there's that. And then also we're a part of a hub where we have a WhatsApp group and we chit chat throughout the month. And we also have a like live call where everybody kind of jumps on and we just check in and we just chat. Because you know what? It's a weird time. We're changing at rapid fire speed. Everyone around us is changing, and people are kind of separating from each other. And we're sort of in search of this new, more aligned community. And it feels kind of lonely. And we have no one to talk to about these things. So this is also what the group serves to be. It's mostly a community for communication and connection, but also these updates. And if you are not interested in joining, then that's fine, because every third month, I think, I'll be posting the one for free. So everyone can tap in throughout the year, but you won't have the group access, the live calls, these types of things. And yeah, anyway, so let's get into it. So March is, let's talk about where we're coming from in order to make sense of where we're going. So we've entered 2024 and it's the year of the dragon. It's a very karmic year. And this year in general, you will get your actions and consequences will be very obvious. And it's kind of a karmic checkout year as well. So the things that you've been doing for the past X amount of years may start to gain some traction this year, may start to see some momentum this year, which is really good if you've been doing the work, and really good if you've been conscious and trying, but maybe not so good if you've been very like kind of ignorant to your journey, you've just been doing what you've always done, et cetera, et cetera. So this year, when we have the new year in January, it often feels like that's like, hey, a new year, a new me, we got these goals. This year, it's been kind of like, we haven't felt that yet necessarily. it's kind of been us like moving into our shit a little bit. February, you may have started to feel like rumblings of like what your dreams or goals might be for this year, what you are working towards, who you want to be, who you don't want to be. You may have felt some of those rumblings taking place over the past month, but now we're moving into March. And I did see February is very action oriented. I see a lot of people going here, going here. Kids are in sports, there's concerts, there's events, there's this. There was a lot going on in March, or sorry, February. It's very action oriented. And it was a lot of it was showing us, and again, if you're listening to this at a different time, the month that has just come to pass for you is what this is kind of what's been going on, very action based. And the point of that action was kind of to pull you in 1,000 different directions and get you to figure out like what things actually align and lift you up and what things aren't aligned and don't lift you up. And it was to help you figure out what fills my cup, what fills my heart, what fills this. And now we're moving into the new month, and the new energy is going to be more internal. So I do get some, but this is going to be like March is the last month before we have the astrological new year and the Aries energy comes in, and we really start to feel that fire and excitement and really start to feel that momentum forward. So this is the last month of, well, depending on the work that you do, it is the last month of feeling kind of directionless or uncertain or feeling like there's a lack of progress. I mean, and I hate to say that this could be a month where things still don't feel bam, but by the end of the month, and we have that Aries spring equinox astrological new year come through, you will be renewed. So that's only till like March 21st-ish. So we only have like a couple of weeks to get through, which is great. So this is kind of what came through. We will be doing the inner work this month. This will be about really setting proper boundaries, doing things that fill up our inner well, doing self-care, taking care of ourselves. And it might feel kind of like there'll be some effort involved. This isn't just going to be like necessarily like, oh, I just have time for self-care, or I just have time to do what I want. It's going to be you needing to definitively carve that out, definitively make that a priority. And if you don't, the busyness that happened in February is going to fall into March as well. And we could slip into, so everything exists on a spectrum, right? So it's not what am I saying? It's not a prediction. It's like this is the spectrum that you could fall on, and your choices will determine where you live on that spectrum. So the utmost goal of March would be to have you feeling like your inner well is nourished. We did a lot of outer things last month. It could have been very socially oriented. There could have been a lot of plans, a lot of action, maybe a lot of work things, but it would have been very externally oriented, leaving you a little bit probably bagged unless you had good boundaries to start. And also the intention of that was to show you what you want to spend your time on, what you don't. This month is about the inner world, as I said. So if we can harness the cues, our inner world will become more balanced. We'll feel more peace. We will feel more grounded. We will feel more sort of like, I don't want to say powerful, but in control. I don't like that word either, but let's just use it. More in control of your well-being. And things won't rock you as much. Instead of being whipped by the tides of life, you will be able to part the seas, if you will. Like that's kind of the energy coming through. But it does require you to be aware of what you will and won't do and do the proper self-care. Do the proper self-care. Because if you don't hit that side of the spectrum, you're going to fall over into the other side of the spectrum. And you're likely going to feel extremely overwhelmed. You're probably going to be sharp. Your emotions are going to be driving you. You're going to be like fussy, or like, I don't want to say rude, but the word rude comes to my mind, like rude. And you're going to probably be looking for other people to blame. If I just had a better team, if I just had a better partner, if my kids weren't this, if this wasn't happening, then it wouldn't happen. And we start blaming other people, but really it's you who's overextended yourself. People can't read your mind. So you could feel a little bit like of inner turmoil, a little bit of inner frustration, a little bit of inner overwhelm. And if that's the case, then self-care away. And I also see like take a break. Like take a little like mini vacation from your expectations and realize that things will manage without you. Perhaps the reason that you're overwhelmed is because you just do it all the time. And it's this expectation that people just assume that you will. So stop doing it, take a little mini vacation, do some self-care, and the world will go on without you. And starting to realize that you kind of might be your own worst enemy. And that's kind of the main thing that I pick up. But the reason that this is happening, this isn't like we've been here and done that with self-care before. We've been there and done that with all this before, right? It's not a new teaching. So what's the purpose of it right now? Well, they're showing me that we're in this place of the collective evolution from this old world of being and this new world of being, where we're about to sink into the next era, which again, with the dragon ruling us, could be a very potently abundant, successful era. But it's not going to go the way that you want it to if you are taking these crap traits with you. We need to sort of purge them out, wash them away, clean them up, so that we can actually get on with the story that this year is telling for you. And it's kind of like setting you up for proper foundations for the year. And I want to say there's kind of like an initiation energy here or like a testing energy here. Like, what will you tolerate this year and what won't you tolerate this year? Because come the astrological new year, come the spring rebirth, which is happening this month, the end of the month, we're setting our karmic path into stone. We're setting the energy and the tone of the year. We're solidifying it. So what you've been working out or learning or releasing or bounding up or accepting or tolerating or lack thereof is going to be a part of this karmic story for the rest of the astrological year, 2024, etc. So it's trying desperately, the energies are trying desperately to kind of trigger you and make you hold a new boundary, a new character, right? Yeah, new character. What's the character? What's the tone? What's the pace going to be? So it could, if you suck at these things and you are just being pulled in a million directions and you're not honoring what you want, you're probably going to see yourself confronted with a lot of these types of tests. People asking too much of you, people expecting too much of you, you being invited to a million and one things and then not really saying what you do or don't want. And if you're like me, this is something that just dropped into my own awareness because I do suck at these things. Like sometimes I don't know what I want. Like, it's like, oh, you're invited to something in 2 weeks, and you're like, yeah, I think I would be okay with that in 2 weeks. But then the 2 weeks comes and you're like, no, absolutely, this was a bad thing, but you're already kind of committed to it and it sucks. So what we need to be doing, and this is kind of the more specific layer of what's being invited for this kind of energy, is that we have to be in touch with our soul. We have to be in touch with our heart, and we have to be in touch with our spiritual practices in order to be able to listen to the cues. Because a lot of us go immediately into logic. We're like, okay, I have this many things coming up. I haven't seen my friend in a while. I keep bailing on them. So it's probably a good idea for me to say yes to this. It's a very logic approach. It's a very doing data, doing calculations, trying to figure it out approach. So we need to actually maybe not respond right away to these things and sit with it and really be like, what is my heart saying? What is my body saying? Maybe check in with a couple of cards, because I also pulled the spiritual narcolepsy. I don't know if you can see it. I can't get it. Card, which means we've been so busy and we could continue to be busy if we don't implement some of those boundaries and just kind of like refine what we're doing, what our goals are, what we're trying, how we want this year to go, refining it. We're kind of like, I see the imagery, but let's finish one thing before we go to the next. So we're really refining our goals for what's going to come in this astrological new year and solidifying it. So we've been very busy being tested with what we will and won't accept. And we are not, what's the first thing that's going to slide off of your priority when you're overwhelmed or busy? According to this, your spiritual practice, meditation, alone time, reflection, journaling, pulling cards, whatever it is for you, checking in with yourself. Like, these are the things that are probably sliding for a lot of us. And it's actually like a cause and effect cycle, because we then don't really know what we want. We're saying yes, we're not feeling good about it, we're not enjoying it, we're not being present with it. So there's a big call to our spiritual practices and really checking in with ourselves about what's aligned and what's not aligned, and then holding that ground. And a part of me, I just like hate this month. Like, honestly, this is going to be a challenge for me. The only saving grace I have is Walk in the Wild Side is happening, and that is going very deep. And so I have it at the forefront of my mind, and I am doing my spiritual practice. So I should be advantageous, but I hate this. I hate this. This is my arch nemesis, and it's happening for all of us. So we need to be checking in with ourselves and just saying what's true and real for us. And we don't have to explain it. We shouldn't be lying about it. We should just be communicating very authentically and clearly about what's true and real for us, because we do not want to take it into the new year. There is also an acknowledgement that things have been probably a little bit maybe on the frustrating side. I kind of see that some of us, I guess when we do the card pulls, we'll see who's who, right? Who's dealing with what in a more specific sense. But I'm seeing that there's some of us who have been dealing, like, probably there's two kind of camps and probably somewhere in the middle. There's one group that has been dealing with like a lot of like just setback after setback after setback after setback. There's another group that's had like this high, and then it's kind of like a stagnation. We're at a stagnation, and we're like, what's going on? Why did things suddenly become stagnant for me when I was on this uptick? And then again, someone probably in the middle. So it's been a little bit frustrating is kind of what I'm picking up. And we have to realize that the finish line is in sight. And we just need to continue to be resourceful. We just need to continue to show up. We just need to kind of write those final exams before the energy shifts and we're kind of like out the gates. The thing I've seen this before, but it's been a long time, where it's like, we're ready for something new. We're ready for the race. We're ready to go. We're ready to see the action. We're ready for like some good stuff, ready for some like light, right? And it kind of feels like racing horses, like ready to go, but the gates just won't open. It's like, I've been doing the work. I've been showing up. I've been putting the effort in. I've been trying to manifest. I have been meditating, and it's like the gates just won't open so that we can just get going with the things that we've been trying to manifest or create. And the gates are going to open. Astrological New Year, here we go. And also even the energy of April is going to be under Jupiter, that's abundance, that's good luck, that's progress, that's action, it's a fire sign. So it's happening. It's going to start moving forward, but we can't take some of this stuff with us. It's just baggage that's going to slow us down. And because it's a master manifesting year, any little thing that we're taking with us is going to be amplified. And then something else that I'm being reminded of is even in the cosmos, over the past little while, like the stars and the planets, the energies that have been dancing to really make this kind of additionally frustrating for a lot of us is Chiron, who is probably your deepest wound. Again, it's unique to you, but that one just like Achilles heel, right? The one extremely vulnerable, painful place for us, and we all have it, is just being like highlighted right now. It's really dancing with the North Node of Destiny, which is something that constant. It's like I always think of the nodes of destiny. They even look like little magnets. And it magnetizes your energy. The node of destiny, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing, or even if you're awake to astrology, you're going to be magnified to it. It pulls you in, it sweeps you in, and we're all being magnetized right now to our core, deepest vulnerability, the Achilles tendon that we can't seem to heal. And even in astrology, he's called the wounded healer. He has a lot to offer, he has a lot of wisdom, but that wound is something that he simply manages. He never truly releases. So a lot of things have been coming up to trigger some of your greatest fears and stresses, vulnerabilities, and it's making us afraid. Not afraid, what's the word? It's making us feel somewhat like we're going backwards. It's really kiltering our fear and our stress and our anxieties that are making us almost like if we're horses trying to go out the gate, we've been doing the work, we've been trying to manifest, and the gates are about to blow open. Well, this tumultuous energy in the cosmos is making us almost like, yes, there's a part of us that wants to go and off to the races, but then there's also a part of us that might be retreating a little bit and falling into these old patterns of people pleasing or saying yes or feeling guilty or feeling unlovable or unworthy of what we really want. So when I say this is initiation, when I say this is kind of like a big deal, like it is. This is us really learning to manage that core wound a little bit better and realizing that it's just a wound, it's just a story, it's not the story, it's just a piece of it, a past that tethers us or anchors us, and we need to learn to manage it better. So when I say it's an initiation, it sucks. It's a big one. It's a big initiation. It's a big thing we're learning to manage. So it means continuing to be resourceful, continuing to show up, continuing to check in with your spirit, continuing to hold the boundaries, even if you're shaking in your boots more than usual. Even if the biggest things that trigger you are really, really, really coming up, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, because the gates are opening. And guess what? You get to leave parts of that trigger behind because you've learned to manage it. So it is really testy. And it's not just March. This won't be anything overly new. We've kind of already started the testing period in February, but again, more external testing. And it's really going to be kind of the same stuff, but more internal. And that's why there's this call to make sure you're checking with your heart, checking with your soul before, and like spiritual hygiene, spiritual well-being. It might be a really great month to do energy work. Like if you like practice self Reikis, get at Reiki sessions, get clearing sessions, like do these types of things because it's internal this go around, and it's going everything you do internally is going to definitely manifest externally. And their sort of final kind of message, I hope this is helpful. It's really helpful for me, but I was already really aware of what was happening. So the final kind of message they say for the energy, and okay, so we'll do the final kind of message of what's going on, and then I'll just recap what that polarity is and what kind of steps you can take to try to make the most of this month. And then we'll go into the card pull and you can see more specifically like what camp you might be in and whatever messages come through there for you. So, okay, the final message about this month is definitely that it's all the umbrella of what's happening here is that it is all in preparation to make the most of the year of the dragon, which is known in Chinese astrology as the most auspicious, the best sign there is if you can harness the dragon's positive energy. It's good luck, it's abundance, it's success, its manifestations come to fruition, it's feasts of plenty, it's just all good stuff. And the dragon, when I think about him, his goal is to deliver you bounty, but he doesn't give it for free. He's really can only give you that which you've given to yourself. So all of this is in preparation to really step into that energy for this year, and remembering that just because it's just for this year, we are always building upon, building upon. So just because it's just for this year, it doesn't mean that we're not going to keep that momentum moving literally for the rest of our journey or for the next few years of our journey, right? So he's really trying to balance the scales and make it so that you're ready to receive, that you're in a place where you are more magnetic for the feast of plenty and the bounty. But with that feast of plenty or that feasting idea, whether it's money or time or health or happiness or peace, whatever it is you're trying to create, if you, the line that I was kind of reading earlier was like, if you keep choosing outcomes that leave you hungry or starving, depleted, this is the time to rectify that. This is the time to rebalance that before those gates open and we really start moving forward with what we're creating this year. You're just going to starve all year. You are not going to be opened up to the receiving end of what the dragon is bringing us this year. So that's kind of the final message. Like, don't choose the things that leave you hungry because you will starve all year. And that's just the dragon. You know, the dragon, I don't know if this is true, but in my head, he's always, and I think even in China, when they do like the dragon ceremony, it's like it's weaving like an infinity symbol. And the infinity symbol also represents like the scales, the balance between the physical world and the material world, the inner world and the outer world. You know, like it's really, we need to balance this stuff. And this is the time and month to do it because the gates do open March 21st, spring, and then they even get bolder when we hit the April energy. So that's kind of the message. So you kind of see the spectrum start to happen. Basically, what options we have are don't take care of yourself, don't check in with yourself and run yourself completely ragged and see yourself kind of in a stinging energy where you want to sting, you want to blame, you're overworked, you're exhausted, you're frustrated, you're depleted. That will be what the negative polarity looks like. The positive polarity will definitely be crossing a threshold of discomfort because you have to say no, you have to hold your boundaries, probably do something a little different than you haven't done before, feeling uncomfortable because that energy of that Achilles tendon is there, really making us feel nervous. So you're crossing that uncomfortable threshold, which some of us have probably already started, crossing that uncomfortable threshold, but getting to the other side where we're really feeling inner peace. We're starting to feel like we're gaining momentum. We're starting to feel like maybe that person didn't like it, but I don't care. I'm seeing through my eyes. My inner world is what matters. And feeling fulfilled and excited and nourished and kind of that power again where we're parting the seas. We're not just learning to swim in the waves and like, God, isn't that the goal? Doesn't that just feel good to think about, that the world would move with you or for you instead of you just like trying to keep your head above water? Like, oof, chef's kiss. Like that's what I want right there. So it's like starting to feel that in control. And it feels like, in my mind's eye, it feels very divine feminine-esque. It feels very like, I mean, we would have done maybe some divine masculine in February, and this one might be kind of moving through our divine feminine, moving through the waters, moving through the sea. Makes sense, Pisces season. So, and if anyone's actually aware of what the divine feminine energy looks like balanced within us, if you're male or female, it doesn't matter, but we all have it within us. When it looks balanced, magnetic. We don't have to worry about a thing. It comes to us. We are palpitating. We're powerful. Nothing rocks us, right? If we think about Mother Earth as a representation of the divine feminine, balanced, peaceful, harmonious, life-giving, supportive. And it's like this give and receive. The root systems are connected, and the rains, they water down at the right time. And it's just like this living, breathing thing that doesn't require a lot of effort, But then there's also like when there's an issue, like something's going wrong. And I want to say like there's a spoke in the tire between that like that ebb and that flow and that magnetic, that beautiful, that existence. And there's like something going wrong or like a spoke or like a challenge in life. It's like Mother Earth is also like, get out of my way, right? She's the earthquake, she's the volcano, she's the monsoon that clears everything away so that everything can get back to that period of stasis. And it's no sweat off her back. She's just that powerful, right? Like that's kind of the energy of where we could go in its maximum potential. So what are the things that you can do to make the most of that as a general statement? And then we'll go into the card pull and you can see which one might be more specific to you. So as a general statement, the things that you need to do or that are being asked of you to make the most of this energy and really just lay some of these things to rest and get into that positive polarity would be holding the boundaries, speaking your truth. But before that, knowing what that truth really is by actually practicing your spiritual hygiene or getting connected to your soul, your heart, and really listening to what the things are that you're no longer willing to do or that you're not really interested in. So you have to be in contact with those parts of yourself, hold the boundaries, speak the truth. Just be as honest and authentic about what's going on in your inner world. So let's say you're already committed to something and that moment is coming. Well, get out of it. Don't do it. Taking a lot of self-care, like that rest, those little mini vacations, like not needing to just constantly take on the weight of the world, like manage the like communicate your expectations and manage what you can manage. You don't have to read the minds of all people and just be who they need you to be. Be really mindful of like the fear or the anxiety because it does appear right before we're going to cross a threshold. So you need to hold yourself kind of accountable to continue, not to retreat, to continue to hold the ground, to continue to move forward, even if you are a little bit nervous or fearful, because you are going to be a little bit triggered, and initiation just comes with the triggering. So, holding the line, standing in the power, doing what you can to manage it. If that is a little bit more Reiki this month, or a little bit more energy, or a little bit more meditation, or, checking in with yourself on a more consistent basis, great. And choosing things that honor your inner world, choosing things that balance your peace or balance your desires, and not choosing the things that leave you hungry, choosing the things that truly nourish you. Yeah, that's it. I was like, is there anything I'm missing? But not from my notes. So anyways, here we go. It's like, in all honesty, I wish we were already at that gate opening, but it's Pisces season, the astrological new year hasn't hit yet. March is being ruled by also the moon energies here. So it's just, we're not there yet. But if you know what lies on the other side, and honestly, how great is it just to choose your own inner peace, right? It's coming, it's so close. And then I just see kind of like we're off to the races. And we want to be in the good race, not this race over and over and over again till we figure it out, right? So anyways, I digress. That's what we got going on for March. And stay tuned. I think the card pull, I don't know how it's going to look. It'll either be in a couple of seconds or it might be an entirely separate video. I have not yet decided, but stay tuned if you're wanting a little bit more specific for what's happening for you within this parameter. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.